Hello and welcome to Happiness Now. Today I'm interviewing Brian Moller from the YouTube channel A Mind for You. Brian, for me, is a very inspirational guy, a mental martial artist, I describe him as, and I'm sure you'll agree. He's actually a fascinating guy who teaches us how we can practice forgiveness, how we can train the mind, overcome fear, and find more peace and happiness in life. So please welcome with me, Brian Moller. So, hello, Brian, and welcome to the show.
Hey, Rab, good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it's great to have you on, Brian. So maybe tell us a little bit about yourself. Maybe firstly tell us about the YouTube channel, your YouTube channel, because you've got quite some fascinating stuff there on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, sure. Well, a little bit about me first so you understand what my YouTube channel is about. I'm a power mind trainer, and I love to delve into how we can use the mind to create any vision that we desire, also for happiness, for joy, and peace. And that's really what my A Mind for You YouTube channel is about. It's all about the techniques and methods that I've come across on this journey or on this exploration of the mind and how to use it for our own benefits. And so what you will find on a Mind for You YouTube channel will be methods, training, and insights that will get you going for using your mind consciously. And why is it important to use the mind consciously? Well, imagine that you want to draw a painting, right? And you don't know, you have an idea what you want on the painting, what colors, but you don't know how to pick the right colors as you start drawing. So you pick the wrong colors and you start drawing, and your hand is not even going as you want it to. Now, with mind training, conscious mind training, what you will learn is to know what painting you want to make, and you will also know what action to take, what colors to take, and how to do that. So that's basically what you will discover more of on my YouTube channel. And the real training is, of course, in my online course, more directed, more specific, but that's giving you a little glimpse of what's possible with your mind.
Could I ask you, you spent a year, didn't you, training your mind? You had an exercise each day.
Oh, yes. So I came across mind training in 2009. And that was after a period of heavy addiction of smoking weed, sex, uh, and just kind of wanting to do my own things, but really not successful in it. And then I discovered A Course in Miracles. I asked for inner peace, which is really the key. So if anyone wants to have similar experience, I asked for inner peace. And so A Course in Miracles was given to me, which was a course of 365 mind training practices, one each day. And all the practices were aimed for one single thing, right? One single objective, which was to have inner peace of mind. Yeah.
Okay. Can you give us an example of some of them practices?
Oh, yeah. So you start out with noticing your thoughts. So one of the practice on a daily basis would be to notice your thoughts, just to notice them, what's going on. Uh, and it also gave a little attitude towards it that, thoughts are okay, good or bad, doesn't matter, just notice the thoughts. Then on the next day, because the aim is inner peace, then every time I would notice my thoughts and they would not give me joy, not give me peace, the practice would be on the hour, every hour, to notice the thoughts and then go, oh, these are not my thoughts. I'm excited to actually see what is my real thoughts. And so that practice helps us to not just accept all the thoughts that's coming in, but actually consciously start to pay attention to what you want more of. And how does that then show up in our daily lives? Well, if I noticed something in the world that I didn't like, I would then ask myself, well, what is it that I would like to see more of in the world, and how can I be a part of creating that? So that's how it translate into action.
I wanted to ask you, you do work with attachment, don't you? Recognise an attachment to money and such things, and
Yeah.
you train the mind with non-attachment. Is that a good way of putting it?
Well, so what I discovered is that my spirit, my true self, right, that which drives us on a daily basis, that part of me wants peace and happiness. And that's basically what it wants. And so I discovered that as I asked for inner peace, as I asked for happiness in my life, I came across 5 obstacles. And one of the obstacles is attachment of happiness into things. And that can be money, as you mentioned. It can be sex. It can be drugs. It can be a feeling in the body that I want that feeling. If I don't have that feeling, I'm not feeling happy. So any attachment to worldly things for our happiness or inner peace, that was the first obstacle that I had to face and understand why that's just simply not working out. I mean, you can't have inner peace if you need the right relationship, the right partner, the right food all the time, because that's basically impossible. But what is possible is to detach from the world and notice that as spirit or as conscious creators or whatever you want to call yourself, when you empower yourself to do and bring happiness to life, that's a place of being that brings inner peace, that brings happiness to this very moment here. And that's the way I have it. That's the way I keep it. That I bring it. Let's refer back to A Course in Miracles with those 365 practices. The one practice that's always justified is forgiveness. And I'll come into that later on. Actually, I want to talk about that later, but forgiveness is always justified. And there was a great man teaching about forgiveness. So yeah, you can listen to him or not. But if you want inner peace, forgiveness is definitely a key that can open the door to have that in your life.
Attachment to money, it makes me think, there's a massive difference, isn't there, between attachment and possessions, because a homeless person may not have many possessions.
Most homeless persons have extreme attachment to money.
Exactly.
Quite the opposite. They have extreme attachment to money, and they feel like that they can't do anything without that money.
Exactly. So we're not talking about the possessions, the lack of, or having possessions. We're actually talking about the mind and the attachment, aren't we, to wealth?
Yes. So I played poker in my life, and when my poker account would reach a certain level, I would get scared if it then wouldn't keep on rising from that level. So I had some money attachment to it. I would think like, oh, if I go below this level, I won't play as much as needed, and I won't be able to make that money that I need. And in that instant, the universe kind of say, oh, so it's not your abilities that's creating the money. You believe that your ability is dependent on what you see in your physical world, and the money was taken away like almost instantaneously within a month or so. And then I would get back on, hey, wait a second, I'm good at playing this game. I can bring joy. This is my passion. This is what I love about it, which is something that comes from within, non-attached to this world. Is something I'm bringing, and the money would climb back up. So not being attached to money does not mean that I don't love money. It doesn't mean that I don't love to have a lot of money, and it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have a lot of money. In fact, you would have all the money in the world when you're not attached to it, because they would just flow to you for whatever reasons that you need, that you're working on bringing your joy or happiness towards. So in the instant that we attach our happiness or our love or something on an object, a worldly object, that is the first step of not being happy anymore, of not actually enjoying your time, because that would always be in mind that, hey, I need that. And if you have in mind that you always need something in order to be okay, that's going to be a worry eventually. Does that make sense? Is that clearly put?
It does. I was just wondering, how do we get around chasing desires and wishes? For example, when we're growing a business or something, how do we get away from the attachment and yet work towards fulfilling our goals?
Okay, so one practice that I teach is you want to see yourself as already accomplished in what it is you want to create. In that way, you won't believe that you will feel greater when you've done it. You will feel great already. And that's the energy that you want to bring to life. That's actually what the desire is meant to show right away, is that you want to feel like that, right? That's why you have a desire. If you go like, I want a Lamborghini, then when you imagine yourself having that Lamborghini, you feel great. I hope you feel great. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't like the Lamborghini, right? It's not like I will have a Lamborghini and I'm going to feel sick. No, it's not how we do. So a desire just shows you a glimpse of how you really want to feel, but it shows an image in front of you instead of actually just allowing you to feel like that right away. That has something to do with the level of consciousness that we work on, what we believe will make us happy. So that's a belief, right? And belief system, they will show up in the instant you ask for inner peace or happiness, because that is values of an enlightened being, of coming off the spirit. And so if you want to create a company, then not to get attached to it, and it's an ongoing process to notice, that will be to first vibrationally or energetically see yourself as an accomplished company owner doing that business. And then you can create your company. Then you will allow that energy to flow through, like I'm talking right now with here, right? My company is not at all yet on the scale that I want it to, but the energy I'm bringing right now, that is on that scale, right? That is on that magnitude. And so that would be the key thing. And you heard New Age people talk about it a lot. You got to be a vibrational match to your desire. And in a sense, that's true. You want to allow that energy to flow through you and interact with the world from that state of being, from that state of mind. And so you're not attached to it any longer.
Is this the law of attraction, or is it similar to it, but you don't give it that label? Where are your thoughts on the law of attraction then?
Yeah. So I hear what you're saying. And law of attraction, I haven't studied it as such. I call this the law of creation. But law of attraction, what I understand from that word is that you attract something to you. But that's still as identified with a physical being, right? As a body. I'm not identified as a body. I use it to communicate what it is I want to create. So I see more like if we actually have a mind, which we do, and a body, if I want to have a new experience, I go back to my awareness. So awareness is seeing both body and mind. I go back to awareness, and then I visualize, I put into my mind what it is I want to experience more of. And I tune into that frequency. And so when I start to move my focus around, move the body around, I feel different in the body. My thoughts are different. I will start actually searching different things on the internet. Everything vibrationally is different. And so that's how I create things. I put things in my mind, and then they start growing. And they start growing to my capacity of nurturing it and stay non-attached, but still nurture it in the way it needs, like a plant that you're growing in your mind, in your garden.
So are you using emotion and you're using visualization, but you're using emotion to bring forth these realities?
Yeah, so I see it pretty much as my mind is like a YouTube channel. I think that's the best way of describing it. And the ability I have with my imagination of searching for what it is I want to explore more of is the ability that I can, explore the videos that I enjoy. So with my mind, first thing you want to do if you want to work with your mind is become non-attached to your mind. Otherwise, it's gonna take you around like a nice lady that can attract you and just drag you around, and you don't want to do that. But what you want to do is there are ideas that are interesting to explore. There's a reason why they're interesting. It's because our spirit wants to experience it uniquely, individually as we are. And so to use, now I got to get back to what you mentioned there, but to use your mind for creation, what do? I first meditate, I first practice forgiveness, because I want to be in a non-attached place, in a complete acceptance first. And from that state, then I want to plant in my garden, in my mind, what I want to see more of. And the reason for that is very simple. It's so easy to react to our physical circumstances, right? For example, we could look at, I got some pills here, right? And so a reaction to that would be, shit, it's almost empty, right? And so the fear of having it empty, then I would go, oh, I need to create more pills. But instead, so that's a reactive way of using the mind, right? If we feel lonely, we're like, oh shit, I don't like to feel lonely. I want to have company, but that's a reactive way of using the mind. So a more effective way of using your mind is first to rest, find peace, and find that effortless joy that is here and now without having to do anything. Start from that place, and your mind is like a slave to you. The universe is like a slave doing your bidding. But you gotta find that rest first, that first assignment.
So it's like the opposite of craving, isn't it? Craving is a graspy mind. That's like seeking, almost like aggressively seeking, where you're saying peacefully, still will attract.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that I don't get excited. I get super excited afterwards, because if I've sat in meditation and I visualized an outcome, I'm super excited to see how that actually comes to life, right? And so it's a fine balance of going for it, but allowing yourself to go for it. And it's a paradox, and it's not explainable. You have to do the practices to understand that paradox, but it is a paradox, because you are grasping for it, but you're also not grasping for it.
I would say joy is a peaceful mind. Actually, joy is a peaceful mind.
Yes.
So you mentioned forgiveness, Brian. Maybe you could tell us how forgiveness comes into the equation.
Yeah. So what is forgiveness, by the way? So as human beings, right? As individuals, we have the possibility to judge, and we have the possibility to judge in terms of right and wrong, good or bad, better or worse. And in the instant we start to do that, we actually start to make some unconscious preferences. And usually what happens in that judgment is we separate ourselves from our world, our creation, our own creation, what we're actually having right now, right? Our creation, we're separating ourselves from it by saying that's good, that's bad, that's not okay, in that sense. That will create separation. Now, in the instant you create separation from your own creation, you're also separating or becoming unconscious of the creative force, the creative being that you are, and your capacity of doing so, right? There was a man who said, you can move mountains. You have to say, mountain, move, and the mountain shall move. That's true, but you gotta come from a place of being that is absolutely creative. That's not the case when you judge good or bad, or separate yourself from the world. So forgiveness joins everything back into union again. It's like an atonement with everything, with everyone. And you, in the truest sense of forgiveness, you see everything is coming from the source, and you're no longer objectifying things. You're no longer seeing from a body point of view or an individual point of view. You're just seeing it from a creative point of view, because you want to get back into your wholeness, your union, your home, where peace abides. And so forgiveness, really what it does is it accepts. Not to say that you want more of it. If you had a horrible nightmare, like an experience where you had a partner that was abusing you or things like that, I'm not saying, hey, I want more of that. And I've experienced myself, in relationships where they were not good for me. I've also experienced myself being the abuser in a relationship. And both parties, in both experiences, forgiveness is key to open up my mind for what it is I want to create, no longer being a victim, right? No longer pointing out or being a reaction to my experience, which is the key again with forgiveness. So how do we implement forgiveness in our lives? Well, how do we do that? I have to say, I haven't found a way to bring forgiveness just like this, just in general speaking. If I had to bring forgiveness for you, Rab, we had to have a conversation. You had to show me some of your experiences, because I see nothing wrong with you, right? I see nothing wrong with people. People are coming to me, say something is wrong. And in that instant, then I can help them to atone, to remember what we are, which is aware, conscious beings, possible to create anything we desire. And that's actually what we're doing all the time. And so I'm not here to judge if you're creating what you desire or not, right? It's not my task. But people can come to me and they can say, Brian, I'm creating something I don't desire. That's not what they're saying. They're saying, this guy is a fucking asshole, right? Or this girl, she is not doing what I want her to do, or something like this, or money is not available. But in my eyes, the way I see it is just, oh, okay, so you're creating something that you don't desire and you don't know why. And so forgiveness is really just an atonement of our abilities to create from spirit as spirit. And there are as many mistakes that we can make, as many ways we can forget about it, as many ways you can forgive yourself. So. Okay. Which is good. So everyone has that, everyone has forgiveness available to them when they ask for it.
And you say it brings us back to the source. Is this who we truly are?
Yeah. So source, words are difficult to convey this information, but I'll make a pointer for you. You're not the body. You're not the mind. You're not any memory. You're also not any sensation, no thought, no feeling. So what's left? And then when we start to recognize what's left, when we put all coming and going away, and then we start to become aware. So awareness is part of source. It's original to source. And that awareness can even look back on itself. And in that instant, you will start recognizing, hey, where's all my ideas coming from? Where's all my desire coming from? Where's everything coming from? And that's this source. And it flows through everything, through awareness, through mind, through body, into the world.
We kind of we believe that we are what our history has determined. Does that make sense? It's like our past determines who we believe we are. Our identity is based on our experiences. But this is mistaken, isn't it? This is a mistaken view.
Well, what is identity? It's a good question. But yes, mind has it, because mind is creating through concepts, images, and emotion and thought. So you can mistaken. So, okay, this is literally how it is. You're painting a picture, right? And as you're painting it, suddenly you go like, wow, I love that picture. And then suddenly you just start to only see the picture, but you forget you are the one painting it. And then you're playing around the picture, you're playing around with I can draw that one too, I can draw that one too, but you're forgetting that you're drawing. And suddenly you create a story for yourself, and that story plays out, and suddenly that story is not working out for you anymore. So you're just telling yourself a story. And that story is repeated a million times, and you start believing it. Yeah, that's who I am. But I can't see that. And that brings me also to when I want to tell you about my walk across Iceland. But when I meet people, I don't see their story. Yes, I see the body. And the body has story. It has knowledge. It has intelligence. But I don't see the story of the relationships you've been in, all the ideas you have about yourself or anything. What I see when I look at you, when I look at myself, and I look at people and life, is I see a creator. I see God, if you want to put it that way. It's not all the time. I also forget, but I have started to see God, happiness and joy, peace in my fellow beings more and more and more, and that they are creators of their own experience. They're conscious creators. That's what I want to see. Now, they might not be aware of it themselves. That's totally fine. That's also valid. It's also an experience we can make, but that's what I see.
Are you a believer in God, Brian?
So I don't have to believe of whom is creating, because I am one with the creator. So it's not a belief. I see him, or that. I see life flowing through everything. I am aware of spirit. I am awake in what is. And so it's not really a belief of God. But when I say God, I know it's a touchy word, right? But God refers to that which keeps my spirit safe. So even though I mess up, like in a game or something, and I die in a game, then I'm always kept safe of that creator. Yeah. Do I believe in that? I see that. Did I believe in it when I started out the mind training and everything? No way. I was very scientific based, but I noticed that science has its limits for me being able to enjoy and have more fun. And so when the tools, the methods, the ideas, the belief systems that I have adopted is no longer working for my spirit, right? My desire, you can call it desire, then I have to abandon them and find new ways. I'm not here to settle. Right? I was never come here to like, oh, I would just only do that because that's only what's possible. Says who? Science? Fuck science then. Sorry, my vocabulary. But I mean, if something is not working out anymore, change your perception, change the way you look at it. And so going back to God, my definition of God is that which makes that which knows and sees everything to be good because it is created as such. And I also see that something in that God state asked for free will. And so free will is the capacity to actually experience something different than heaven and uniquely awaken back into, wait a second, my creations, they're not that good. I really don't enjoy them anymore. I want to just awaken back to my true state and see as God sees. And if we say God, it's just a perfect way of looking at what actually is here and now, what is working, what is here.
Brian, it's obvious you're a very deep thinker. You've got some real good insights there. Can I go back a little bit? Were you always so insightful? Maybe you could go back a little bit and tell us, well, there's the story about you walking across Iceland, but maybe even further, were you always kind of in this mind frame?
So, yes, what was my experience, right? So grown up, pretty typically school systems and everything, had adopted a lot of judgmental sides. In fact, I would say I was probably completely opposite of now. So I had a very righteous mind, and everything I did was for sure right, and everyone else was bollocks. Not exactly, but in some cases, yeah, that was pretty much the way. Very judgmental, very much, you're stupid, I'm good. Or I could also say to myself, I'm stupid and he's good. I had adopted very Always been curious though. Always been curious for how to train my body, training. Always been curious about understanding what's going on, but completely unconscious of my own ability to bring joy to people, to bring, life into this very moment here. And I had definitely adopted a separation idea, and I was living that. I was seeing myself as a flesh and blood body walking around, and had no clue that how my ideas, was shown to the world, or that I had any part of other people's. How can I say that? I had definitely adopted a separated idea about who I am, and actually, I wasn't that fond of the world. I was very angry at the world. I thought the world was a fucked up place, right? And us humans, we just messed up. I mean, we had all this capacity, but we're not using it. So very pointing fingers all the time. And suddenly, so let's look into some of the experiences that awakened my awareness of who I really am and what I'm capable of and what we're all capable of, and source and God, if you will. And so 2004, first experience, finished high school, got a motorcycle, and I was definitely driving too fast. So I was very curious at that time in my experience of fear. What's fear, right? Ooh, interesting feeling, and crashed. In that instant, I noticed my awareness being right now also feels very much in tune in my body and less in the room here, very focused towards bringing a message through with my body. And then my awareness jumped back, and I noticed my body and just tumbling around with the motorcycle. And I also noticed and became aware of a completely still mind. And I think that was the first time in my life I became aware of a completely still mind. And I felt peaceful as never seen before. And there was complete safety also. And then awareness, when my body was done trembling, would zoom down back again into my body. And the first thought in mind was just, okay, got to check out what happened to the body, right? What's broken, or is everything functional? And the next thought would be, oh, okay, because I had broken a foot, my finger was completely detached. So I was like, okay, these things are not working. I'm for sure not going to work today. So that was the next thought. But I felt happy. Yeah, might be weird, right? But I felt happy. Even though my foot was completely, if that was my foot, then it was broken off and my bone was sticking out here and it was put up against, the side. So there's a lot of pain, but I felt happy. I made jokes along the way. And that would be the start of me beginning to experience what we're capable of, right? Because the doctors told me you won't be able to run again. We don't know how exactly this foot will ever work again. And that was the first time an authority that I put as an authority, I was like, he's not about to decide that. I can decide, what I can make. And so life goes on. The next step was 2009. So we have 2004, and we have 2009. 2009 is a very important time because that's where my anger towards the world and my inner peace was completely removed, right? So from complete inner peace, which was just an instant, right? It was very short time, into complete anger, hatred, irritation, and also a lot of shame and guilt. But that was just not expressed that much, obviously. And in that state of this anger and pity also, and judgmental minds, it was like my spirit was calling through and saying, hey, did you forget that inner peace is a great place of being? And I was like, I want inner peace. Fuck this shit. I want inner peace. And in that instant, my awareness, and my attention started seeking out inner peace. Just what is that? Imagination started. A Course in Miracles was given to me by people, right? I didn't search for it. People came and said, hey, maybe you would be interested in A Course in Miracles. And I got it 3 times from 3 different people. I was like, okay, I better read it. It's not a coincidence. And I started practicing these methods, these training tips. And A Course in Miracles is very Christian in terminology. And it speaks about, I mentioned the word God. And it says God is love, right? And so if God created us, then we are also love, because love created love itself in its image. But it doesn't put a personality on God in such a sense. It's just love, unconditional love. And it's a giving being. And so I took that course and started practicing forgiveness. And after that year of practicing forgiveness, I mean, my ego, my super ego was just so activated. It was just like, I'm better than everyone else. Why is he not forgiving him? Why is he not, and pointing out everybody else not practicing these tasks. And that kind of ruined my relationship back then. And I had a beautiful girlfriend, and we had a beautiful daughter together. And after about 1.5 years, I think she had enough. We couldn't make it together anyways, and we didn't know how to communicate for the values and grow the values that we appreciated, both of us. So we decided not to continue like that. And so she was from Iceland and moved back to Iceland, and I made a decision there, which was not that ego, which, okay, so my daughter, where will she benefit most? She's 1.5 years old. Where will she benefit most in this decision? And I decided that with her mom, she will have a better time, and I will find my way. So that's a crucial moment, 2014. So you can see 2009, starting learning about forgiveness, 2014, still not having, yeehaw mind yet. Still a lot of learning to do, a lot of lessons. And then in 2015, I decided to, what? I'm going to go to Iceland. I want to go to Iceland and visit my daughter, be there with her in one way or another. And I want to learn how to use this mind consciously now, because, okay, I learned about forgiveness, but there was something missing somehow. Just forgiving people, that was just, it was just not enough, in a sense. It didn't bring my ability to create a company and bring life to something, grow something. It was just an accepting, very pleasant state, but that's only the beginning. So practicing forgiveness is only the beginning. It's like a platform, that acceptance. Yeah, so everything I teach, right? And there's a reason I teach what I teach in A Mind for You, and I want to state that very clearly. It's really difficult to see your love not being given to someone, or that a relationship that you felt would grow and the love for something that you're unable to give that love 100%. So that's suffering in a relationship that didn't work out as I intended it to. The suffering of not really living as an empowered being. I wouldn't wish that for anyone. So if I can bring anything to life where we learn more about how to use our minds and use this body, this tool, for bringing more love into the world and for ourselves to see, then I'm all in for that. And so I started exploring how to train the mind to bring a vision to life in 2015. And one vision came to me one evening, and that was, I'm going to go to Iceland. And so I ordered a ticket. I was like, yes, what's the most exciting way to go to Iceland? Well, I never traveled with boat before, so I'm going to order a boat travel. And it said it went from this town to Seyðisfjörður. And I checked up where Seyðisfjörður is laying. I was expecting it near Reykjavik, and I found a town very similar in name. And I thought that was the town, because why would anything else, not go to the biggest town on Iceland? To my discovery a little bit later was that ticket was not going too close to Reykjavik, where my daughter and her mom were staying. It was going on the opposite side of the island. So if you have the island here, this is Reykjavik, this is Seyðisfjörður, then it would go here, and Reykjavik is over here, right? And that's a distance in walking path of about 630 kilometers, right? And as I had to pack everything up, and we had also a shared economy, my ex-girlfriend there and I, so my economy was not the biggest. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to take this as an adventure, and a vision came to me. And that vision was I'm going to walk across Iceland. What a great idea. I'm going to walk across Iceland. And in the forgiveness practices, I'm told I'm always being kept safe. So I want to put that to the test. I want to see if I'm that mighty being, because I'm not experiencing it right now back in 2015. I wasn't really aware of that or seeing it in my experience. I want to test it. So yes, I started training myself up to being able to walk across mountains. How was I going to go through rivers? And mind you, it's in 2015, February. So February month on Iceland is like the worst time of the year because it's winter. So degrees, if you're going in Celsius, is about -10 to -20 at nighttime, and -5 or -10 in daytime as well. Plus the storms going across that island, they have huge glaciers there. Plus it's it's an island in the Atlantic Sea. So wind speeds there they were about 10 to 20 meters per second every day. So I was training for that. I got some sponsors helping me out when they heard I wanted to walk across, and people were somewhat excited, but they were also very scared. And in fact, there was some fear to explore, but I was more curious to see, hey, I got the vision and I'm going to follow my intuition. There's a reason why I'm excited about that trip. So fast forward, get on the boat. And in the instant I got on that boat, something in my life changed. First of all, there was my first one-way ticket. There was no ticket going back. I had left this country, this place where I was staying. I had left also the way I usually thought about how to do stuff, because it was a one-way ticket. I didn't know how to bring and raise my economy when I got there. I had even not a place to stay or live as I got there. I just had my backpack, a huge sleeping bag, which is it's actually over there. Huge sleeping bag, my 2 sets of pants, lots of warm underwear, and huge amounts of food and tools to make food and such. And I was like, yes, I'm going to go. I want to see what this life is really about. And I wanted to explore myself as a spirit with a vision it wanted it to communicate, and the love for my daughter, to go and see her and spend time with her. And so I did that. And I fell completely. I didn't walk all the way, right? So I come across to this island here, and I'm gonna do this. And the first thing the guy says from the boat is just, so where are you going? I'm going to Reykjavik. Yeah, but where are you going, really? And I was like, I'm going to Reykjavik. I'm gonna walk there. Oh, you're gonna walk there? Yeah, sure. So, but where are you gonna stay tonight? I'm like, I'm gonna walk. Where's what's the direction for Reykjavik? And he goes like, oh, well, you just have to go over these mountains over there, and then you'll get to the other town, and you'll be fine. Oh, great. And then when he noticed that I was going to make the first couple of steps in that direction, he stopped me. He's like, no, wait, you're not really walking to Reykjavik, right? You're going to sleep here and take a bus, because, no one walks to fucking Reykjavik from Seyðisfjörður, and not in the winter time. I was like, no, really, I'm going to walk. Oh, okay. Well, good luck. And his whole demeanor just changed. And yeah, so the insights that I gained on this walk was two things. One, follow your intuition by all means, right? And if you can't see the solution, if fear really shows up and you're not sure, how can I say that? So I saw myself walking across that island and I had planned a way, but put that plan aside. Following my intuition was the best thing. And I also had to admit sometimes, am I doing this because I'm prideful, because I want to show the world that I can do it? Or am I doing it because this is the most fun, exciting, and also peaceful and joyful way of being for me? Right? What is the main reason I'm doing this? Why am I actually walking across? And I was doing that to see my daughter, not to risk my life, not to just, throw myself recklessly into a storm. And so the plan of walking across changed along the way. I mean, the weather was horrible. There was -10, sometimes -20 degrees in the nighttime. There was hurricanes across. There was a volcano erupting. You can look it up. 2015 February. There's a volcano erupting. So I even had to check up where the gas of this cloud was going, and if it went that way, I did. Yeah. So I had to make my adjustments, and I learned along the way that the sun is a really good teacher and it's a good companion. And the sun taught me about love, pretty much. It showed me that it shines on everyone, everything the same, regardless of our behavior. I was like, shit, if I really want to love someone, I got to learn how to do such thing. It's giving unconditional, right? But if you walk into the shade, then the rays won't get there. So it's not like we have to go out to people and shine, it's just shine. Just bring your joy, bring your peace wherever it is you are, but you don't have to go to people to give it to them. That it taught me as well. It had no idea of how I'm judging the rays. It didn't change the rays if I said, oh, it's too bright, or it's just shining. And I learned that forgiveness is not just in relationships. Forgiveness is really an atonement with your almighty being. And I learned that on top of a mountain where I was afraid. I almost couldn't walk. The hurricane was really strong. And I was like, you know what? Because fear started creeping in. And I know that as a creative being, there's two ways of handling life: fear or love. There's no in between. And so I prayed for forgiveness in that instant, because I was unaware of my path here. I was unaware of the joyful way that I'd seen exciting, and I let circumstances control my mind and thinking. And I learned that forgiveness actually helps to find a place of peace. And it also atones my mind with the creative mind, the all-knowing mind. And so I can see my purpose, my pathway clearly, and it gives a lot of power. So I didn't have physical power to resist that storm. But in the instant that I connected with forgiveness, why am I doing it? Love for my daughter, love, strong love. That power from being in a vibration of love, right? Because that's actually what you connect with when you are thinking of someone you love very much. Your vibration changes. Then I could walk through the storm. And it was like the body just moved through that storm like I had a shield around me. Vroom. What more insights did I get? Mother Earth is talking to us, or intuition or spirit, if you will. I walked up a mountain and suddenly a wind comes flowing down, and my whole spine, if this is my spine, I can show it here, it went like this. I was like, whoa, what was that? And the old mindset was just, it's probably nothing, right? Even though I never experienced it before, I would be like, it's incident, probably nothing. And so I walk further up that mountain. Now, I've walked up a lot of mountains afterwards. And that really means that a hurricane is coming. You should find shelter. You should find a place where you can stay safe as this hurricane is coming and blowing your brains out, in a sense. So Mother Earth is talking to us, and she does that through the body, through our senses. And clear awareness is needed in order to notice that. What more did I also discovered that I'm not here to just be joyful on my own. I'm here to allow other people's joy in and their helpfulness in. There were people asking me, do you want to come with me and go for, a little trip here? I was like, it abandons a little bit my pride about walking across Iceland. But you know what? It was more fun. And the connection made between people and in communion of joy, right? And excitement, because that's what it really was. Much more valuable than this prideful idea, this image of how it should be. So, yeah, real insights are that coming in joy, we can have an image of how it should be, and that can also motivate us, but it's not really the image that's important. It's the joy, it's the love that we bring to that moment on those steps on that journey, if you will call it a journey.
It's interesting because earlier you mentioned you got a motorbike. You wanted to know what fear was. And there must have been a lot of fear walking across Iceland. It's almost like you spoke about overcoming the fear and being guided by your intuition. It's like the journey was to discover what's needing to be eliminated in the mind, which is fear.
Yeah. More important, instead of eliminating fear, is more just embracing it. I had to face it. And fear is actually important in the sense that it shows us when we're getting off track. So and I actually, before in time, and that's also what pretty much was ruining my relationships back then, is I couldn't handle when people acted in fear. And my motorcycle accident, I also felt like he acted in fear. The car, he got afraid of the high sound and suddenly he made a move. I was already around him. I already, made my own path, but his fear, his reactiveness made me flow off. So I had a little judgment on fear that was not good. I would say in the embrace of fear and learning to face fear is one of the teachings that I got there, and understand that when people are in fear, a caring hand, a gentle hand is often needed. Strong though, calm, and knowing the way, but gentle. And in that embrace of fear, my intuition would shine even clearer.
While looking at some of your work on YouTube, your website and so on, the courses that you do, is it fair to say you're like a mental martial artist, aren't you, Brian?
Oh, yeah. Mental martial artist. You can call it that. But yeah, so mental martial artist. What methods do I use? Yes, there's a sword. There's a sword that cuts through fear. There's a sword that goes beyond, and it's actually always fear, but it also cuts anger. It also, uses these energies constructively. And that I gotta pay a lot of attention to in settings like these if I have a one-on-one talk. Because what I'm really doing as a mind trainer is I'm sharing the awareness I have of how to use the mind. And whenever I see my student or my friend or someone going off track into energies or belief systems or ideas that they're not interested in, then I help to get back on track, like a GPS in a way, in a sense. And bear in mind that I don't do that unless people have said yes to be trained, of course. It's not like everyone who meets me, they're just like, I got to learn about mind training now. Fucking hell. It's not in that sense. But in daily life, for sure, you can call it a mental martial artist. I mean, there's so much propaganda going on. Facebook. I mean, Facebook is made literally to hijack our attention. Social media, and so there, and also all the posts. Oh my God, people post anything these days. There's no limit to it. And so a mental martial artist, yes, for sure, I'm keeping my mind as sharp, as clean as possible, so it doesn't get dull. And I train it on a daily basis. And I love to do so, because then I can be more for you here during this interview. I can be more for myself, my girlfriend, my friends, the world.
You're actually, I mean, I've seen some of your work as well. You're really like strong and athletic. I tried some of the exercises that you were putting forward on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't very good at all. I couldn't keep up. Do you want to tell us about some of that stuff as well? Because you don't just train the mind, you train the body to perfection, don't you?
Yeah, well, mind and body, they are actually combined, right? So any mind training is actually physical training. You cannot not do it like that. And yes, keeping a healthy, athletic body has always been something that I valued. I like to have Bruce Lee is a great teacher in it. He said, if I want to move, I'm moving. If I want to kick, I'm kicking, And if I want to punch that guy, I'm punching that guy. And so I took that on another level, and I was like, when I wake up in the morning and I have a great idea, I want to be able to seize that idea. If I feel like there's something to be shared in this moment here, I want to be able to move. I want to be able to do so. I want to be able to climb mountains if I want to climb mountains. And at first I started with bodybuilding, but that's the image. You see, that's an image of how you want the body to look like. And it felt horrible. I didn't feel good in my own skin. And I had to feel, I had to sit always like tightening up my muscles, and how is this guy seeing me, or this girl, and how am I tightening up? How big does the body look? Now I do training, still very intense. Yes, very intense training, because it helps to keep the mind sharp. And it's no more than 5 to 25 minutes a day. That's it. And my shape is awesome, I'd say. But it helps to do the things that I love, and that might be different for everyone, but at least it keeps. So here's the thing, right? So mind training first, then body second. So when I see a healthy lifestyle, I imagine it, I visualize it, and I tune into that vibration, that energy. And these exercises is what came out of it. They came second hand, and then I started practicing those because I love that vibration. And yes, I train the body a lot, for sure.
So Brian, I wanted to ask you about the courses you provide. You provide a course, the 101 course, is that right?
Okay, so let's dive into the course. And yes, at first I had a one-on-one course. I had to test out that the insights that I gained from this journey, from my failed relationships, apparently lessons are taught through failure, but all these insights and all this knowledge that actually started to accumulate, and the wisdom that I had made of it so far, I wanted to teach that forward. I wanted more people to start recognizing and use the mind for creating the visions they have for a relationship, or the world, or humanity. I mean, Elon Musk was a great inspiration in that manner. And so I started teaching one-on-one first to see how they worked out. But now I have it in 3 versions. There we go. We have an online course. And the online course is made of 9 steps that you can take in your own time. And each step has training that lasts about 10 to 15 minutes a day. That's it. And it's 9 steps. And you will first learn how to focus your mind, how to connect vibrationally to your ideas, and how to set clear intentions. I also mentioned from my stories here mental health. That is the first step. Mental health is the first step to calm the mind, to meditate, to become aware, and to forgive. Those are the two key concepts in the first step. Then we can set intentions, then we can develop ideas or whatever is curious here. So that's a monthly subscription. I believe, Rab, maybe you'll put a link below or something that people can join it.
Absolutely.
And you can try it out for a week, see if it's for you. If it's not for you, then that's okay. You can just skip it there. It's $39 a month. Then I have what I call a lifetime access course, which you have access to the same 9 steps, the same teachings, but now it's with a group. Now it's with me as well. And you will have access to live trainings, and you will learn, or you will have the possibility to get answers to how do I use this step or these teachings in my life situation here. So lifetime access is where you have lifetime access. I give everything to you, and there's an ongoing learning process because the material dives deep. And I was taught forgiveness back in 2009, 10, 11. And it was first some years after that I actually was able to use it consciously. Then I have one-on-one training. Not that many people want to have the VIP treatment, and I usually use that for people ready to build a business, or they have something they're really passionate about, a relationship or something. But mind you, VIP is a one-on-one with me. It takes a lot of my time. I give full time needed, and people will have availability to call me and such. So price also goes way, way up in a VIP one-on-one training. So that's for very few people. I can't take more on than 3 or 4 people at a time. So, but yeah, that's an online course. It's called The Ultimate Student, because you're learning about your awareness, your creative ability. And that, for me, that was the ultimate to study. So.
And you've got a YouTube channel, haven't you, as well, Brian? What's the name of your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is A Mind for You. And that's what I'm creating. I'm creating a mind for you, as I did for myself. And on that channel, you'll find snippets of some of the teachings. You will have videos where I dive into how meditation has helped me to stay on my path, who I am as a mind trainer. And there's also some introduction to the steps. And there's an ongoing flow on a weekly basis with new videos there for how to use some of the tools in your daily life.
And you worked on a book as well, didn't you, Brian? Could you tell us about the book you worked on?
Yeah, so the book, well, I'm all into having a vision, an idea that's exciting, and go into it. And so I wanted to share, all the good knowledge, all the good insights that I got in a book. And then I had to admit, maybe I don't know all of it. So instead of me writing all my knowledge, all my insights in a book, I decided, you know what, I'm going to share one of my insights, and then I'm going to ask 100 different people for their insights, because I truly see that we all have something of value to share to each other. And instead of just saying that, I wanted to make people to do that, to have a platform where they could do that. So yes, I wrote a book called 101 Different Advice by 101 different people. And so there you will have snippets, of advice they would give themselves or give a good friend. And there are actually some very good advice in it. I'm doing one of the advices these days, which is learn to program. So I'm learning a new programming language.
Excellent.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. So before we ask you for your final thoughts, Brian, can I just invite everyone to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you like this kind of content? I release videos like this each week, interviewing and inspiring people just like Brian. So with that being said, please, Brian, could you leave us with some final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Yes. So final thoughts. Well, for sure, hit the subscribe buttons there on Rabs and give him your support. I think it's an amazing thing that he's doing here. And I love the platform and being able to share my story and insights. And a high five for you there, Rab. Love that. Final thoughts. Otherwise, well, love to see you perhaps on my journey or my channel and into my group if you would be interested in doing so. I have a Facebook group, and as you join the YouTube channel, you will see links for that Facebook group. So join that place if you're interested in doing more with mind training. But just before we will let you go here, I want to give you something that you can take with you right away, that you can practice from this moment and onward. And so what could that be? Let's just have a look. Every single day, just teach yourself this practice. It will benefit you, perhaps not right away, but over time, 100% sure. That is to every single day, just take a moment where you just relax. Just relax. Use whatever it takes to relax your breath. Use your imagination for something that feels great and allow that sensation to go into your body. And know as you do so, you're helping to bring more of that relaxation, more of that joy into the world in that instant. If you can't keep it going, it's okay. But that practice, if you take that with you from here, bring that relaxation. It will help you to handle your anger better if you have anger. It will help you to find space just before you're going to react to something. It will help you to detach from addictions, from you name it, and bring more of that space of relaxation, of awareness, of ability to listen to what you really want. So I'd love to get that.
Thank you, Brian. It's been wonderful having you on today. Very inspirational indeed. So thank you to all of you who's watching. And again, please connect with Brian, go over to his YouTube channel and so forth. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
You're awesome. Take care.
And you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.